This is not a video about staying positive. If you feel hopeless about money right now, the last thing you need is a stranger telling you to cheer up, and I will not insult you with that. In fact, I am going to tell you the opposite of what you expect. Your hopelessness is not the problem. It is information. It is telling you precisely that you have been living from the feeling of not having, hour after hour. And that feeling is exactly why the money never comes. So we are not going to paper over it with good feelings you don't have. We are going to reverse it at the root, using the one rule Joseph Murphy actually lived by, that you receive not what you beg for, but what you give thanks for, as though it were already done. Gratitude is not a mood you fake. It is the felt sense of already having. And tonight I will show you how to move from where you are into that sense, deliberately, before you sleep. So let me take that hopelessness and turn it over in my hand, because on its underside something is written that almost no one reads. If you can feel the absence of a thing that strongly, that despair, that flat certainty that it is over, then you are not a weak feeler. You are a powerful one. You have simply aimed all that power at the wrong picture. And now I am going to ask you to set the hopelessness down, gently, because it has done its one useful job, which was to show you that you have been living from lack. From here on, this is not a video about how you feel low. It is a video about the feeling that raises everything, the one Murphy built his whole life around. And that feeling is gratitude. Stay with me even if you have stopped hoping entirely, because I am not going to ask you to hope. Stay with me even if you have kept a gratitude journal before and felt nothing, scribbling things you were supposed to be thankful for while your chest stayed empty. That was not the thing. That was its shadow, and I will show you the difference. And stay with me even if you have heard the name Joseph Murphy 100 times and think you already know what he taught. Because this one rule, the one he actually lived by, is the piece most people skip right over. Let me say plainly what this rule is. Beneath the thinking, worrying mind that you call yourself, there is a deeper mind, and it never sleeps. It runs your heart while you rest. It heals a wound without asking. And it takes whatever you hand it with, real feeling, and builds outward into your circumstances, the chances you notice, and the ones you walk straight past. It does not argue and it does not judge. It simply answers the feeling you live in. And here is the trap almost everyone falls into. When you want money, when you reach for it and ache for it, you are feeding that deeper mind one message, over and over: I do not have this. And it answers, faithfully, the only way it can. It gives you more of not having. Wanting is not the doorway. Wanting is the lock. Now watch what gratitude does, because it is the exact opposite motion. You cannot be truly grateful for something you do not have. Gratitude, real gratitude, is always the feeling of already holding a thing. When you give genuine thanks, some part of you has already received. That is why Murphy called Thanksgiving the feeling of the answered prayer. It is not a technique you perform to get paid. It is the felt state of the person who already has, borrowed and lived now, before the proof arrives. And the deeper mind, which cannot tell the difference between a vivid felt experience and an outer one, takes that gratitude as the signal that the thing is already so, and begins, quietly, to build a life to match. This is the whole of it. You do not thank in order to receive. You thank until you feel you have received, and from that feeling, you do. Now the honest mind objects, and it should. You will say, but how can I be grateful for money I do not have? Isn't that just lying to myself? No. And this is the hinge the whole thing turns on. Your feeling was never meant to be a report on your bank account. Your thinking mind keeps that report, soberly and honestly, and it should. No one is asking you to deny a single bill. But your feeling has another office entirely. It is not the record keeper of what is, it is the maker of what comes. The farmer who feels quiet thanks over a bare field in spring is not lying. He is living by the law of the seed. And you, giving thanks for good not yet arrived, are not lying either. You are living by the law of the mind. The real self-deception is the one you have practiced for years without noticing, feeling the lack, rehearsing the worst, and calling it being realistic. And this rule is old, far older than any self-help book, People were living by it 2,000 years ago and longer. The oldest teachers said it plainly, that whatever you ask, you should give thanks as though you have already received it, and then it shall be so. They did not mean say thank you as a phrase. They meant feel the thanks of one who already holds it. This was never locked in a vault. It was simply left behind, in old books that fewer and fewer stores still carry, passed quietly from one person to the next by those who had learned to live by it and made no noise about it. So ask the fair question. If this is real and this old, why were you never taught it? Why doesn't everyone live this way? The answer is honest, and it is not a conspiracy. No one banned this. It just got left behind. Schooling taught you to read and to count, and never once taught you how the inside of you actually works. And modern prosperity teaching took this quiet, ancient rule and flattened it into a task. Make a list of 5 things you are thankful for. Tick the box. Feel nothing. Move on. Gratitude became a chore instead of a state. Underneath it all sits a plain fact of the marketplace. There is very little money in telling a person that the one thing they need is already inside them and costs nothing. There is far more in selling them the next book, the next course, the next reason it hasn't worked yet. So the rule survived, but quietly, in the corners, the way the most useful things often do. If even one line here has landed for you, take a moment and write it in the comments below. Someone else may read your words and recognize the very same thing in themselves, and that quiet moment of being understood is worth more than you know. Now stay with me, because knowing this rule is nothing until you can actually feel it, and I am going to show you exactly how, tonight, before you close your eyes. Here is how you actually do it. There is a moment every night when the door between your two minds stands wider open than at any other time, and that is the drowsy state just before sleep. The thinking mind, with all its arguments and its evidence of your empty account, grows tired and stops guarding the gate, and whatever you feel in those last soft minutes sinks almost unopposed into the deeper mind and becomes a seed. Most people spend that golden hour rehearsing what went wrong and what might go wrong tomorrow, planting fear in the richest soil they own. You are going to plant thanks instead. As you lie there and the body grows heavy, do not list things. Do not recite. Choose one small, ordinary good that you want but do not yet have, and give thanks for it as though it has already come. Keep it believable. You are not thanking for a fortune. You are thanking, quietly, that the rent is handled and your chest is easy. You are saying thank you that the work came through, feeling the warm relief of it as if it truly had. The words barely matter. What matters is that you reach for the feeling underneath the words, the settled, grateful ease of a person for whom the thing is already done, and that you stay in that feeling until sleep takes you. Sleep then seals it. Do this every night and understand what you are doing. You are handing the same grateful impression to your deeper mind again and again, until it stops being a thing you are trying to feel and becomes the thing you simply are. Through the day, carry it more lightly. Whenever the old hopeless feeling rises, and it will rise, do not fight it, because fighting it only feeds it. Notice it, name it quietly. That is the old feeling of lack, the one I am no longer living from, and gently return to thanks. Find one true thing to be grateful for that is already real, however small: the warmth of the cup in your hands, the fact that you are still here and still trying, and let that real gratitude open the door back to the borrowed gratitude for what is still on its way. You are not straining for a grand emotion. You are making thanks your resting state, because what you rest in is what you become. And do not go digging for results. Do not check your circumstances every hour to see if it is working, because checking is the feeling of not yet, planted over and over. Give thanks, and then let the ground do its quiet work, the way you trust a letter you dropped in the box instead of tearing open the mailbox all day. There is one more thing you must know, because it is the exact place people give up. When you first try to give thanks from a hopeless place, an old voice inside you will sneer. It will say, "Thankful for what? Look around you. This is foolish." Do not argue with that voice and do not try to silence it, because a voice you fight only grows louder. Let it speak, and quietly return to your thanks anyway. That voice is not the truth. It is only the old feeling of lack, defending the only home it has ever had, which is you. Every time you return to gratitude without forcing it, you loosen its grip, and one day you will notice it has simply gone quiet, not because you beat it, but because you stopped answering it. That is the moment gratitude becomes your own, and from there the rule needs no effort at all. Let me tell you what happened to a woman I once knew, because her turn shows the rule at work, and there is nothing in it you cannot check. She had reached the bottom, past crying, telling me flatly that it was over for her. I did not ask her to hope. I asked her only to give thanks each night, for good she had not yet received, as though it had already come. For weeks nothing outward moved, and she nearly stopped, the way people almost always nearly stop right before it turns. But something in her was changing before her circumstances did. The flatness in her voice softened. She stopped bracing against every piece of mail. She began, without deciding to move through her days like someone quietly expecting good instead of dreading worse. And within a few months the outer world answered the way it answers everyone who makes this shift, not with a miracle from the sky but through ordinary doors. Old connections resurfaced. Work she would once have talked herself out of came to her, because she no longer carried despair into the room. Money moved along perfectly explainable paths, every link reasonable in hindsight. What could not be explained was why the chain formed in exactly the weeks she stopped feeling hopeless and started feeling grateful. She called it luck. I called it the rule Joseph Murphy lived by, doing what it has always done. So let me leave you with the heart of it. You were taught to want, and wanting is the feeling of not having, and the deeper mind gives you back exactly what you feel. There is nothing wrong with you, and there never was. You were simply handed the words of gratitude and never shown the feeling beneath them, and the feeling is the whole thing. If you are the kind of person who has always sensed that the most useful truths get quietly set aside while the loud, expensive ones get sold, then you already understand what happened here. This rule was never lost. It was only waiting for someone willing to stop wanting long enough to give thanks. Before you go, do something for me down in the comments. Tell me which city you are watching from today, and tell me whether something here quietly clicked, whether you felt that small turn from the ache to the thanks. And read a few of the other comments while you are there, because you will find people in them who sound exactly like you did an hour ago, and it helps more than you would think to see it. If this gave you something real, not just passed the time but actually gave you something, then feel free to like it and subscribe, and only for that reason. Not because I need the number, only because if these words meant something to you, this is simply how you find your way back to the next ones. And there is a next one waiting on the screen right now. What I am going to show you there goes deeper than what we did tonight, into the part that ties it together, the piece most people never reach. Knowledge like this has a way of not staying in easy reach forever, so while it is here in front of you, go on and let it show you the rest.